Hey guys, this is Matt for Creative, and they just went over a lot of things on WWDC, but I think the most important thing is what they're doing with iPadOS. By the way, they've rebranded everything to 26, iPadOS 26, iOS 26, all 26, just to match the upcoming year, kind of like what cars do when they release. But what I think is the most important thing is what they did, again, with iPadOS. The only reason why I have a laptop is not because of the power that it has under the hood. This is an M2, by the way. I chose this over getting an M3 at the time because this was cheaper. And I was just like, I don't need this all the time. I don't need this extra form factor here all the time. And also, it's not a touchscreen. This is a touchscreen. This has been my boy since 2018. This is an older iPad Pro 12.9 inch. Now they call it 13 inch, even though they didn't increase the size at all. But the functionality of this is great. The one thing that I've had issues with is when I was using programs like Excel and programs like Numbers, using it with the current way of the keyboard or little trackpad or the Apple Pencil, which I do have on here, it was very limiting. It just wouldn't have the right key combinations. It wouldn't be able to drag and drop precisely. There are like little intricacies that just kind of held it back. And I know that they're still being held back by kind of restricting some apps that, first, this 2018 can't run something like that more desktop-y version of Final Cut Pro. I understand that, but one of the huge things, and I know I've been dragging this out, is you can see here, we have adjustable windows on here. You can see this is my photos, this is my web browser. I could bring it all the way over here. But what I've known and what kind of makes me relate to a laptop or a PC more than anything is just that you can open a window, you can close a window, you can minimize a window. When you bring it back up, it still launches in that form factor. And that is what they have brought over here to iPadOS. And I'm going to go a step further. So at this point, that's great. If they have that full functionality on an iPad mini, I'm going to be carrying that thing around all the time. This basically, I shouldn't have got a laptop. I should have got a desktop. And that's, I guess, I can't really go back and change anything. But what I'm most excited about is Apple's Foldable. Now, I understand there's a different working between iOS, which is made for iPhones, and iPadOS, which is made for iPad. If, and this is a pretty big if, they bring the iPad functionality to a tablet, maybe they call it tabletOS, with the same kind of, stretching windows, overlapping windows, kind of laptop functionality that we've known, that is going to be my game changer. Because for me, and sorry, there's a construction outside, a lot of stuff, but for me, the only reason why I have this is that kind of like precise functionality that I need. And of course, I sacrifice pencil support. I mean, I can get pencil support, but pencil support and touchscreen support, I lack that on here. And that's basically, this is, I know a lot of people use this. I know a lot of people use this for the horsepower that you can get. This is a base model. You can get a Pro, you can get a desktop, you can do a lot of things and have render times, go down to basically 0. But for me, it's the portability. If it takes 5 times longer, 10 times longer, but I'm still able to produce on the go out of something that I can pull out of like a jacket sleeve, that would be great. And that would have me migrate basically fully onto something like this on an iPad Pro, unless they restrict things. Now, I do have the beta. It's not released yet, but as soon as it is, I'm going to be testing that out on this. Hopefully, it'll work on my little mini here. And I know it's not going to work on the iPhone yet, but hey, this is me planning for an optimistic future for this. If this becomes that full functionality, this one is done. This one is over. And if they bring that same functionality to the tablet that's going to be coming out here, then this will become a glorified screen to kind of look at content. And now I know A foldable will have worse battery life, maybe not worse with that new type of lithium-ion battery that's coming out or has already come out. That would be great. And I know it may have, the form factor is going to be small. It's going to be more like an iPad mini than the size of an iPad Pro or a traditional iPad. And that's fine with me. I'm good with watching content on a big screen. I am perfectly fine with using a small form factor like this to be my everything. So if they can bring this all, if they can do this, and I think that foldable is coming out not this year, but next year, and kind of tie this all together, then that is going to be my major move. And I'm going to be extremely happy with this. I know that maybe it's going to be a learning curve for some people, but literally, this folding out, sitting in my pocket will be the way that I will be editing all my content. Maybe I can even move from something. I usually work with Video Leap. Maybe I can move on to something a little bit more professional like Final Cut Pro. For me, I don't like really making a lot of edits and cuts and manipulations. I like shooting, maybe front tag, end tag, out, gone. But maybe this will just give me that flexibility to do a little bit more, because if I'm here, why not just use the laptop? Use this to mass upload files. Use this for the best editing software. Wow, they're really going crazy outside. Using this for the best editing software out there. Just, if I'm at home, that's fine. If I'm at home, use the big screen iPad. Here's my one thing. Another thing, because I've said so many one things, haven't I? One major thing for me is that these devices, all of these devices, are not waterproof or water resistant. And I know the first foldable may not have that great of water resistance, but I know the Samsung devices, and I believe the Pixel devices, have gone up to an IP of some number, and that means they are water resistant, maybe not so dust resistant. But the key thing is, I've become very resistant to bringing my professional camera and even my regular camera outside, because they are not weather sealed, they're not water resistant. And for us, if you've been here in New York for the last 2 months, every single weekend where I have more free time than not, I want to go outside, I want to film stuff, I want to do more stuff. It's raining, I don't want to bring a waterproof bag with me always, because of course, maybe that doesn't work all the time, and also I hate carrying bags, but that means I can't bring out my camera. And also, if it's pouring rain, I can't shoot that camera anyway. Now, I know there are different types of cameras, and I could upgrade to something that's more weather sealed, but I don't feel the need because the quality of that content is perfectly fine. But I can't bring my laptop with me everywhere because of that. First, it's large. Carrying this is a weird form factor when you're just walking around, but it is not water resistant. This is not water resistant. This is not. And this is the first thing that they should make water resistant, because they definitely could, and that would fit great in a jacket pocket. I remember the first item that's kind of like this size that has water resistance is one of my Amazon Kindles. A lot of people hate me for getting a Kindle over a book, but my thing is, sometimes I get distracted. I want to go from one store to another. I want to move around. I want to have access to many different things at one time. And also, if I put a book in a bag, and I remember I went to Strand, and I know I'm going on a lot of tangents right now. I went to Strand bookstore in New York City, and I wanted to buy a book, but it was raining outside. My friend bought their book. It was raining. Their book got a little bit kind of, not water damaged, but it's not in pristine shape. The Kindle being waterproof gives me that kind of relief that I can just take this out there. I can go with it. My iPhone being water resistant gives me that relief. I can just go with that and just, I can just live and not have to worry about being caught in maybe not a heavy downpour of rain, but like a light rain. I can go to a pool. And my God, I mean, I don't want to toot New York's horn, but it's just like, it's beautiful to be able to work poolside. I mean, there is Dumbo House, there's Soho House, there are the Arlo hotels in Williamsburg and many other places where if you've got that money, you can go there, you can work poolside. I wouldn't have to worry about anything. I bring my iPhone, I'm set. if I'm able to bring a foldable device that's water resistant, I'm set. I'm ready to have full functionality in my pocket. And I don't think it's going to be VR yet, because VR, definitely not water resistant, terrible battery life. It's basically a huge device that's going to be resting on your head. It's not going to be ready yet. But a foldable that runs iPadOS with those, different size windows, with that full app functionality, that is what I see is coming up maybe even next year as a full functionality device. That is something to pay more for and to just have. And now I'm trying to think. I used to run 2 phones just so when I was editing something and it was rendering for like 5 minutes, I could use the other phone. I've actually stopped doing that. I only carry 1 phone, and I always carry a battery pack. And that's just the choice that I made. But I think I may go back to going for a dual device. But that's only if I have my traditional iPhone and if I have my foldable that runs an iPad OS-like operating system where I can just use it as a laptop with a little mouse or whatever it is. That would be my personal dream, and I'm here for it. I'm ready for it. But guys, what do you think? Are you ready for something like that? Do you think that Apple is going to be releasing something like that? I think they will, just because they were able to do it with iPad, and they know that that's going to cannibalize. That move alone is going to cannibalize a lot of MacBook sales. But I think MacBook is kind of moving towards its end of life. I know that the battery life is great. I know that the power of those M chips of different, up to M4 or whatever it is right now, that is great. But what they need to do is just bring all that power, that battery life, bring that new lithium-ion battery into these smaller devices, and then have those be the powerhouses to power those peripherals. Like, I don't get why, and I'm sure they have a reason. I'm sure if I thought about it more, I'd find the reason. But I don't understand, maybe it's battery drain, why they don't have an option for the Apple Vision Pro or a future device to run off of the processor of an iPhone Pro. They have so much power in there already. And maybe it would drain the battery. Maybe you have to have a separate cable for the battery because you don't want to drain anything. But then it would cause the lightning of the device on your face. I've been talking a lot, guys. Please let me know what you think. Did you see WWDC 2025? It was more or less until I was looking at iPadOS. I think that's very relevant, and I think that's going to be, like they said, it's a game changer. Anyway, guys, comments and questions, put in the comment section below. Don't forget I'm on Instagram at M8B9. You can email me at creativenyc2025@gmail.com. Thank you so much, guys. I'm excited. As soon as that beta comes out, I'm going to give this a try, and we're going to do a little bit more videos on that. Thank you so much. Wow, 13 minutes. Sorry for taking your time, guys. I'll see you next time.